He drank his own urine and ate raw fish with his bare hands just to survive one more day in the middle of the endless ocean. Stephen Callahan floated alone on a tiny raft for 76 days, with nothing but the brutal sun and hungry sharks circling below. Most people would have died in the first week. He made it over 2 months. This is not a movie. This is real. If stories like this fascinate you, you are in the right place. Hit subscribe and stay with me, because this story will change the way you see survival. It was January 1982. Stephen Callahan was living his dream. He was a skilled sailor and boat designer who had just built his own small sailboat. He named it the Napoleon Solo. Stephen was sailing solo across the Atlantic Ocean from the Canary Islands toward the Caribbean. He had done plenty of sailing before. He knew the risks, but nothing could prepare him for what was about to happen. 6 days into his journey, disaster struck. It was the middle of the night. Stephen was below deck trying to sleep when he heard a loud bang. The boat shuddered violently. Water started pouring in fast. Something had hit the hull. Maybe a whale, maybe floating debris. He never found out for sure. All he knew was his boat was sinking, and he was hundreds of miles from land. Stephen had minutes to act. The ocean was swallowing his boat. He grabbed whatever he could reach: a sleeping bag, some flares, a spear gun, navigation charts, canned food, water, but the boat was going down so fast he could not get everything. He inflated his emergency life raft and jumped in just as the Napoleon Solo disappeared into the black water. Everything he owned, everything he had worked for, gone. Now he was alone on a 5-foot raft in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean at night. The first few hours were pure terror. He had no idea if he would even survive until sunrise. The raft was tiny. Waves crashed over him constantly. He was soaked and freezing. When the sun finally came up, Stephen took stock of what he had. The news was bad. He had a little bit of food, some canned water, a few basic survival tools, but not nearly enough to last until rescue. He was drifting in one of the most remote parts of the ocean. No shipping lanes nearby. No islands, no hope of a quick rescue. Stephen knew he had to ration everything. He allowed himself tiny sips of water, small bites of food, but the supplies ran out faster than he hoped. Within days, his water was almost gone. The canned food was finished. Now he faced the real nightmare. Dying of thirst in the middle of an ocean, made of water he could not drink. Salt water will kill you faster than no water at all. It dehydrates your body, destroys your kidneys, drives you insane. He had to find a way to get fresh water. Stephen remembered that rain sometimes falls over the ocean. He waited for clouds. For days, nothing came. The sun blazed down without mercy. His lips cracked and bled. His tongue swelled. His skin burned and peeled. Dehydration was shutting down his body. Then finally, rain. He used every container he had to catch the precious drops. He held his mouth open to the sky. That rainwater saved his life. But it would not be the last time he came within inches of death. Food was another huge problem. He had a spear gun, but no experience hunting fish from a raft. He tried over and over. He missed. The fish were too fast. He was too weak. Frustration nearly broke him, but then he got smarter. He noticed smaller fish gathering under his raft for shade. He fashioned a makeshift spear and waited. Patience, stillness. Finally, he caught one. A small fish. He bit into it raw. Blood and guts and scales. It was disgusting, but it was protein. It was survival. Stephen developed a routine. He caught fish when he could. He drank rainwater when it came. He used a solar still to try to extract moisture from seawater. It barely worked, but every drop counted. He rationed everything like his life depended on it, because it did. But the ocean had more horrors in store. Sharks started circling his raft. They bumped it from below. He could see their massive shapes gliding underneath. One wrong move, and the raft could puncture. He would be in the water with them. That thought haunted him every single night. The raft itself was falling apart. It had holes. It leaked air constantly. Stephen had to pump it up multiple times every single day just to keep it afloat. The manual pump was exhausting work. His hands blistered and bled. His body was wasting away from starvation. Every action took enormous effort, but he could not stop. If the raft deflated completely, he was dead. So he pumped and pumped and pumped, day after day after day. I know this sounds impossible, but stay with me, because what happened next will completely blow your mind. And if you have not subscribed yet, do it right now. You do not want to miss the ending. Weeks passed. Stephen lost track of time. Days blurred together in a haze of hunger, thirst, and pain. His body was breaking down. He had lost a third of his body weight. His muscles were gone. His skin was covered in sores and salt burns. He was so weak he could barely move. But his mind refused to quit. He kept detailed logs in a waterproof notebook. He tracked his position as best he could. He maintained hope even when hope seemed insane. Hallucinations started creeping in. The isolation was crushing. Humans are not built to be alone like that. Stephen talked to himself. He imagined conversations. He saw things that were not there. Ships on the horizon that vanished when he blinked. The line between reality and madness was getting thinner. He knew he was losing his grip, but he fought to stay sane. He set small goals. Survive today, catch one fish, make it to sunset, then do it all again tomorrow. Storms were another constant threat. The Atlantic Ocean does not care if you are in a tiny raft. Massive swells tossed him around like a toy. Waves as tall as buildings crashed over him. The wind screamed. Lightning split the sky. He tied himself to the raft so he would not get thrown out. He held on with everything he had. Some storms lasted for days. He would emerge exhausted, battered, barely alive, but still floating, still breathing. The sun was both his enemy and his only way to stay warm at night. During the day, it burned him without mercy. There was no shade, no escape. His skin turned dark and leathery. But when night came, temperatures dropped. He shivered violently in his wet clothes. Hypothermia was a real danger. He curled into a ball and tried to conserve body heat. Sleep was almost impossible. He was too uncomfortable, too scared, too aware that every moment could be his last. Stephen's feet were especially bad. They were constantly wet and submerged in salt water. The skin broke down. Infections set in. He developed painful sores that would not heal. Walking was impossible anyway on a raft, but the pain was constant, a reminder that his body was slowly failing. He wondered how much longer he could last. 76 days is an eternity when every single one is torture. He tried signaling for help whenever possible. He had a few flares, but he had to save them for when he actually saw a ship. Wasting a flare on empty ocean was not an option. Twice he saw ships in the distance. Twice he fired flares. Twice they did not see him. The despair after those moments was crushing. Hope raised up and then smashed down. It would have been easier to never see the ships at all. But Stephen refused to give up. He kept catching fish. He kept collecting rainwater. He kept pumping air into the failing raft. He kept moving west toward the Caribbean. The currents were slowly carrying him, not fast, but moving. He calculated that if he could just stay alive long enough, he might drift into shipping lanes or near an island. It was a long shot, but it was all he had. His body was eating itself. Muscle was gone. Fat was gone. His body was burning through whatever it could find just to keep his heart beating. He was a skeleton. His eyes were sunken. His bones stuck out sharply. He looked like a corpse, but he was still alive, still fighting. The human will to survive is a powerful thing. Stephen proved that every single day he woke up on that raft. On day 76, something changed. He saw birds, lots of birds. Birds meant land was near. His heart raced. He scanned the horizon with desperate eyes. Then he saw it. A tiny, dark smudge, an island. He could not believe it. After more than 2 months of endless ocean, land was finally in sight, but he was too weak to paddle. The currents had to carry him. He waited. He prayed. He watched that island grow slowly larger. Fishermen spotted him first. Local fishermen from the island of Marie Galante in the Caribbean. They could not believe what they were seeing. A man alone on a destroyed raft, barely alive. They pulled him aboard. Stephen Callahan had survived 76 days lost at sea. No rescue team, no miraculous accident, just pure human determination and survival skill. He had drifted over 1,800 miles across the Atlantic Ocean. When doctors examined him, they were shocked he was alive. He had lost over a third of his body weight. He was severely malnourished, dehydrated, covered in infections. His body was shutting down. A few more days and he would have died. But he made it. against odds that should have been impossible. Most people do not survive a week lost at sea. Stephen survived almost 11 weeks. His story became legendary in the sailing and survival community. He wrote a book called Adrift: 76 Days Lost at Sea. It is one of the most gripping survival stories ever told. Stephen did not just get lucky. He used his knowledge. He stayed calm under pressure. He adapted. He never stopped fighting. Those are the reasons he lived when so many others would have died. What Stephen went through changes how you think about struggle. When you think your day is hard, remember a man floated on a tiny raft for 76 days drinking rainwater and eating raw fish. When you think you cannot keep going, remember Stephen pumped air into a leaking raft every single day, even when his hands bled. When you want to give up, remember he saw rescue ships sail away and still found the strength to survive another day. The ocean is ruthless. It does not care about your plans, your dreams, your life. It will kill you without a thought. But Stephen Callahan looked that ocean in the face and refused to die. He turned suffering into strength. He turned despair into determination. He survived because quitting was not an option. That kind of mental toughness is rare. It is inspiring. It is proof that humans are capable of incredible things when pushed to the edge. If this story moved you even a little, hit that like button right now. It takes 1 second, but it means everything. Subscribe to CORTIVOX for more stories that history tried to hide. The next story will shock you even more.